Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for showing up live or recorded. It's Dr. Divi here. Welcome. We're going to be talking about self-healing, healing workshop for the next 3 Mondays. So we have Monday the 19th and the next 3 Mondays, the 26th and I think the 4th or 5th, whatever that day is, at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So thank you for joining. I've written some notes in the chat box for those of you who are joining live. And just a quick reminder, so what I've done is I've muted y'all. That's because I love you. But so I'm dividing this up into 2 parts when I teach these live webinars, because a lot of people rewatch this. There's a lot of people who registered, and I knew at this time, especially with it being sunny out, we might have less showing up live, which is perfect because then we can really engage and they can listen to the recording. But how this works is I will be teaching live, and during the actual, so there's 2 parts. There's me teaching, and then there's a live Q&A. And so during the me teaching, I'm going to spotlight my video. So y'all aren't on the video, just so you guys know. So your video is not, you are not being recorded in this section. So if your video is on or off, doesn't make a difference. But in this section, you're not recorded. But then in the second half, when I do Q&A, I'm going to change the format of the screen so that everyone's videos can be seen. If you don't want to be recorded, please take your video off during the second half. I just want you to know, just for your own privacy sake, people will be listening to this afterwards. And I know what it's like if I'm on a call and I don't want people to know that this is my face, then I will just shut my video off. But that's for these 2 halves. The first half, no one's going to see you. Second half, I'll tell you when that is if you want to take your video off. During the actual teaching part, you of course can engage, but it's going to be typed in questions. But if you type in something that I need help with, I'm happy to unmute you and we can engage deeper. But I divide it up this way so that we can dive in, and that so you're not pinged off onto millions of tangents. If you're anything like me and have a bit of ADD, it's like boom, boom, boom. So try to keep the energy together. And then if there's questions or comments, feel free to type them in. If you've never been to my workshops, they're super interactive. And so I'll ask questions, type them in, or put your hand up. And then again, when we come to Q&A, if there's any deeper questions you want me to dive into, I'm happy to. So welcome. And again, thank you for joining live. And thank you for those of you listening to the recording. It's going to be a really fun hour. And I'm really, really, really excited about this 3-part series. It's been a while since I've taught just healing, so I just feel so at home. So I'm so excited to teach this. This is actually one of my favorite topics in the world to teach. And in just a minute, I'll go through a little bit, just a teeny bit of my background, because I know there's a lot of people that are newer to me who are going to be joining us live. So thank you for your, hey Trina, hey Tasman, hey Emily, it's great to have everybody. Thank you so much for joining. So if you're on a computer, just take a peek at what I wrote on the side. So I'm not going to repeat it, just so yes, that's why I typed it, so you don't have to hear me repeat it 1,000 times. But welcome, guys. Again, thank you for joining live. I really appreciate it. All right, grab some water if you don't have one, and have a pen and journal ready for tonight's event. We'll be together for about an hour, give or take. So before we get started, go ahead and close your eyes, unless you're driving. Go ahead and close your eyes and just take a breath. A lot of us had really busy days. It's a sunny Monday. Maybe you had the day off because of the Queen today. You might have. Just take an exhale. Inhale, belly rises. Exhale, belly falls. Just feel yourself entering this container and leaving everything else at home. Slow breath in. Deep breath out. Long breath in. Slow breath out. Just keep that rhythm of breath in and out, just like an ocean wave, rising and falling. Maybe the next few breaths, try to get engulfed in the breath so that you and your breath become one. So imagining no gap between yourself and your breath. As a group, exhale together and inhale for 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep that low, slow flow of breath coming in and out. Slow and deep, calm and easy, fluid and relaxed. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Beautiful. Now just one small mental note. Imagine right now that anything that preceded this class, anything that happened during the day, imagine that you put it into a bag and you left that bag outside the door. And now I invite you to enter the container of this class with everything else, all your worries, all your fears, everything outside. Beautiful. Bringing all of you here, this place of magic and connection. Keep that rhythm of breath going throughout the class. Absolutely beautiful. After a few more breaths, when you're ready, go ahead and gently open your eyes. So welcome, 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 guys. So excited to have everybody. So great. Thank you. Thank you. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. So we're going to jump into healing and stuff in just a second, but I thought I'd just spend like 2 or 3 minutes introducing myself, hopefully less than that. I could talk about myself for a long time, but it gets kind of tiring. I'm Dr. Divi. Welcome. Some of you know a little bit about my background. I'll try to make it really brief. When I was quite young, I graduated medical school when I was 25. I got really sick when I was about 29 or 30. A lot of that juicy stuff is in my TED Talk. You can take a listen to that. But I had all kinds of health issues, from chronic pain to digestive issues, depression, chronic allergies. I used to get hives all the time, get recurrent yeast infections, recurrent bladder infections. I was on a concoction of a lot of coffee, like probably about 8 to 10 Advil a day, antihistamines, antibiotics. So on something else too. I was on lots of stuff just to survive like a 12-hour waking day. I was working full-time as a physician. Everything else in my life didn't make sense as to why I got sick. But like a lot of people with chronic illnesses, it started with one thing, and the next thing you know, it just kind of compounded. And I woke up when I was about 30 going, what the heck? But to the outside world, I had it all together. I had just gotten married when I was 28 to the love of my life at the time. And I was living in Vancouver, and, you know, I had it all. I lived in Kitsilano. I had it all. Money wasn't an issue. Life wasn't, I was in a dream state, if you think about it, but my body was not healthy. So again, to make a really long story short, I actually went down the medical route just a little bit, but I didn't go down it that much, mostly because I was already a physician. And I knew the chronic illnesses I had wouldn't actually surmise in a diagnosis or a magical treatment plan. So I looked outside. And again, this is now 20 something years ago. So I'm 20 something years older than that. And the route to healing took me into a lot of yoga, meditation. I ran a yoga studio for almost a decade. And I started working my intuition when I got pregnant. He's now 17, so you can do the math. And that's when my intuition started going up. And I started working as an intuitive a few years later. Basically, everything I teach now is like everything I've learned in the last 25 years of healing. And all those illnesses I described before, I don't have anymore. And for years after I started working as an intuitive coach, I actually purely taught healing classes, and it was great. And then I decided to take a break from healing, not because anything was wrong, but just because I wanted to venture into other stuff. So I moved into more abundance classes and relationships classes, and I started doing other stuff, built my one-to-one business, and I'm also raising a son, and, you know, all those kinds of things. And just in the last sort of 6 months to 2 years, I've been getting kind of that mental knock to return to healing. See how my voice goes. It's really overwhelming for me to come back to this, because I love working with healing. And one of the reasons I love working with healing is because I really, truly believe, first off, that that's why my path took me into medicine, but also why my path took me into intuition. So what I do in my healing work is I combine my knowledge of medicine, but I'm not going to spend time talking about why illnesses happen, but my knowledge of that, but predominantly with intuition, energy medicine. I combine the two. And I've helped lots of people with all kinds of illnesses. And I don't advertise this on my website because I don't want people coming to me thinking that I'm going to press a button and make them better. But I do talk about it in these classes. So I've helped people with end-stage breast cancer that are still alive. I've helped people with multiple sclerosis that aren't in wheelchairs anymore. I've helped people with chronic pain that aren't in chronic pain. I've helped people with allergies that go away, like candida, you name it, I've done it. And the name of the diagnosis doesn't mean it, not that it doesn't mean anything to me, but it really doesn't matter what that illness is. Okay, depression, anxiety, I think I've done pretty much it all, because the treatment or the solution is actually the same for all of them. And that's kind of mind-boggling. It really is mind-boggling. And again, if there's questions or comments, please feel free to type them to the chat box. So it is mind-boggling to think that it's not, I don't want to say the same modality, but basically when people immerse themselves in a healing class, then what starts to happen is healing starts to occur. Because essentially what you're doing is you're saying, universe, I'm ready to heal. And then I'm literally the conduit to aid you in that journey. And in the work I do, it's actually an overlap of mind, of body, of emotions, and of spirit, all of them. And we're going to get into mind, emotions, and spirit in just a little bit here. We're going to get into details in a little bit, but I'm trying to give you an overview. And before I go any deeper, I do want to say how I teach, just so y'all know, is I sit with the energy of the group prior, and I did this morning. I have the energy of who's showing up, live or recorded, and I write out cue cards, okay? I don't follow them, I don't follow them in order, but I kind of know what the information is that the energy wants to give. And especially for those of you who are new, because I know there's a lot of people who register who are newer to me, 2 things I need to warn you about. Number 1, I talk about fast, so I apologize. I'll try to slow down. Number 2, you're going to hear me use the word they a lot. And let me explain what that means. So you have the personality Divi. That's me. This is Divi, okay? But then there's also another part of me that I engage with, and you can call it my intuition, my guidance, whatever you want to call it. This is how I describe it. Here's you, and here's your non-physical. The higher self, Emily, the divine self, Tasman, whatever you want to call it. This part of us talks to us all day, every day. It comes in with a gut feeling, an intuition, a sixth sense, or no knowing. A lot of times we're not listening. We're paying bills, we're raising kids, we're getting mad at our kids, we're surviving life. So when I work in sessions or teaching classes with people, I pull messages from the non-physical place, call it the universe, call it the angels, call it the energy, I don't care what you call it. When I say they are saying this, it comes from this energy. Okay, this is the energy that leads all of the work I do. Okay, this is the energy that's going to actually help you heal. Because when we step into this part of us is not sick. This part of us does not have pain. This part of us does not have allergies. This part of us is not depressed. And it's the relationship with this part of you that's going to heal you. Like, I'm going to make it really simple. And my entire journey into this has been about creating a relationship with this part of me. And that's a lot of the work I teach. Okay. So I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper. And again, if there's questions, please type them in, because I want to make sure I don't lose you. I want to make sure that you're with me. And I'm going to take a few breaks for breath and water as we go here. Okay. Because what they want me to mention next, and guys, again, I have it on my cue cards, but how I work is the energies will say, slow down and talk about this next. There is a part of us that is infinitely healthy. There's a part of us that's infinitely well. There's a part of us that isn't sick. There's a part of us that knows wellness beyond belief. And maybe right now in your physical body right now, or your physical mind, your, what you're living right now, you're not experiencing, but that's okay. Once you tap into that, even the most craziest things going on in your body can actually release. Like I used to get those big, I'm sorry if I swear, I used to get those big hives, like massive all over my body, like huge. For that to go away without me taking a pill, because I used to take an antihistamine every day. When that stopped, it was mind-boggling to me, absolutely mind-boggling. Because in the Western medical model, that's not supposed to happen, right? So what I'm trying to get you to understand is that there is a party that's not sick. When I used to work as a doctor, and for those of you who don't know, I actually work now full-time as a coach and full-time as a teacher. I worked in family medicine since I was 25, on and off for the last, 20, 25 years. And I haven't worked clinically in family medicine for at least 7 years because this work has pulled me so strongly, just so y'all know. When I used to work as a family doctor, and I've worked in the hospital, I've done small town, I've done emerge, you name it, I've done it. When I used to work in as a physician, one of the most common things I would see is people would come in with like a list of symptoms. They'd go like, do. And there were all this blood work, and they'd come back and I'd say, hey, all your tests are normal. That's really annoying. It's really infuriating when you've got all this health stuff going on and the person sitting in front of you who's supposed to help you says it's all fine. That's super common. Or the other cases, you've got a diagnosis, but nothing they give you makes you feel any better. Or more commonly, you've got a diagnosis and they give you medications, and then that helps a bit, but then you get more problems. So basically medicine, and again, please, I need you to hear this very loudly. Everything I teach is not about making medicine wrong. I actually believe there's a huge, important part of Western medicine, so important part. Just like naturopathic, massage is an important part for everything. But what typically happens, regardless of I'm looking at Western medicine, massage therapy, osteopath, naturopath, most people have this experience that they'll do something, it'll help for a while, but it doesn't help long term. Okay. And what happens is typically once you start on that path of like something wrong, fix me, then the next thing you know, instead of one illness, you've got 4. One of my friends recently, he's a 50-year-old male. He called me up and told me he was starting blood pressure pills. And I said, oh, okay. I said, well, okay, that's great, but you could stop drinking, could lose a bit of weight, start exercising. He goes, oh, my doctor didn't tell me that. I said, that's fair, right? Because doctors are busy. I get it. But these are the more things that we first suggest. You've got an extra 10 pounds on, you drink a lot, all of which cutting back could help your alcohol or your blood pressure. He goes, I'll just take the pill. I said, okay, that's great. I said, the only issue is, and this is actually studied in facts out there, that if you're 50 and starting a medication, a pharmaceutical, studies show that commonly by the time you're 60, you'll be on 3 prescription medications. And that's because one thing happens, then another, then another, then another. And I don't mean to sound like a doomsday person, but when you start to listen to what I'm about to teach, it'll start to make sense why that happens. So when you're in that model, what happens is you get really confused, you get sad, you get angry, you get overwhelmed, you feel like nothing can get better, and you end up in the swirl. How do I know? Because I've been there as a patient and I worked as a doctor for a gazillion years. And it used to break my heart that people went through this. Like it broke my heart, like I can't tell you. And to be honest, most physicians also feel incredibly sad. But I'll use the word armorarium, like the tools that we're taught in medicine are all about symptom management. And again, medicine isn't wrong, naturopathic isn't wrong, osteopathic isn't wrong, nothing's wrong. And I'll also tell you that in the work I teach, it's not about getting rid of anything. It's not about not going to the cancer clinic. It's not about stopping your medications. It's about starting this deeper work. And as you start the deeper work, you'll need less of that. That's exactly what I did. I literally was on whatever I said, like I think it was 7 to 10 Advil a day, a couple glasses of wine a night, 3 coffees a day, antihistamines, anti-allergy pills, mild over-the-counter, not over-the-counter antidepressant, but like an antibiotic. I was on all this concoction. And then as I started to do some of this emotional work without realizing it, gradually my medications dropped, but it wasn't a plan. It just started happening. And so I'm a big believer that nothing needs to change. You just need to start doing more of the emotional, spiritual work. And as you do, what will start to happen is your body will respond, your mind will respond, and everything's going to start to change. So before I go any further, I want to check in if there's any comments, any questions, how you guys are doing. I want to make sure. I'm getting a symbol to pause and time out. Just make sure you're okay. I think you guys are okay. So yeah, okay. And I need to add also, there's nothing wrong with any of these things. For a lot of people, they'll go on an anti-candida diet and they're fine. I did candida free for, I don't know, a year and a half, and it worked for the first little while. But for a lot of people, it doesn't last long term. There's nothing wrong with taking probiotics, but after a while, they might stop working. This work is all about diving into you, into the emotional, mental, and spiritual side of you. Okay, because in my true belief, your body can be healthy. So I'll indicate the body from here down. That's your entire thing. In A Course in Miracles, which is a book that a study that you may or may not have heard of, a well-known spiritual book, it talks about how this physical body is actually just your subconscious in physical. Okay, so if your shoulder hurts, it's not necessarily because you held your purse wrong. It might be because you think you're responsible for everybody. If your mid-back hurts, it's not because your bra's too tight or your boobs, and it could be that you have to get a breast reduction, great, but if they still hurt, what's going on? And I'm just going to go classic. I'm not saying this is you, but classically mid-back is because your heart is a bit closed. You're getting asked to open your heart, or you carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. If your lower back is sore all the time, so classically you may not feel supported emotionally in your life, or money is an issue, and you feel kind of tight on ends here. So those are just examples in my world. And I think a lot of people that have joined this call live or recorded believe in the concept that our mind affects our emotions, which affect our body. And our current system just looks at the body. When I used to work as a doctor, I remember patients would come in. It's kind of got me interested in this work I do by accident. And, they'd have a flare in whatever illness they had. And it's just so coincidentally, they were fighting with their partner. or they'd have a flare and even things like multiple sclerosis or depression, and they'd be having a boss with their spouse, or sorry, a fight with their boss. And I started to notice these things, like, because I'm a bit old school, a bit older as well. And I used to spend, 15 minutes with patients. That's what I was taught in med school. So that's what I did. And at the time, my ex-husband was also a doctor. So it wasn't like we needed, like that we were dying for money. Living in Vancouver wasn't as expensive as it is now. But, I used to spend that time, but I started to put two together, that there were flares and people were emotionally off. But in our current medical model, we don't look at that. We don't look at that at all. And there's a classic triangle that goes mind up here, body here, soul here. Okay. You could put emotions in the middle of it all. But if something is off, the mind is off, spirit is off, emotions is off, your body's going to get affected. And to think your body is any different is the biggest disservice to you. And I'll say one or two other things. The body not feeling good is actually a gift, because the body not feeling good is a dump of emotions that you're not paying attention to. Okay. So when I used to get chronic bladder infections, and this isn't necessarily for everyone as like a stamp that everyone has the same issue, but it was me being upset with my decisions around the partner I had chosen. He was an amazing man. I love him to death, and he was a great guy, my first husband. But my body was angry, and I didn't know how to put two together. So my body was like, literally, Divi, we're not happy that you've made decisions as a partner, and my bladder would just contract and I would get yeast infections. It was nasty. It was gross. Some of us have experienced it. It's really gross. But it was my body's way of saying, hey, are you sure about this decision? What are you doing? Do you get it? And as it turns out, on an intuitive level, great guy, I knew that I was like 30, 32 at the time. I knew that I knew that I didn't want to be a doctor forever at the time. I just graduated, but I also knew that I didn't know what was next. But I knew that whatever it was, and I didn't know it was intuitive work. I had no idea. But I knew whatever it was, on some level in my system, he would not be okay with me, my first husband. I'd met him in residency, great guy. But I just knew that, and intuitively I was right? Which is perfect. It's fine. It's nothing wrong. But it's understanding that your body is just talking to you. Your body is your biggest gift in the world. Okay. So before I go any further, let's go into a little meditation. Then I'm going to take you into process and exercise, and we'll do Q&A. So go ahead and close your eyes. And just settle into your breathing. So take an exhale. And then inhale for 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep that low, slow flow of breath going, making your inhales and exhales longer or shorter, whatever speed and frequency works best for you. On your next breath, invite yourself into a very special place. This may be a place you visit often. Maybe it's a place in nature. Maybe it's a place in your own home. The most important thing about this place is that you feel safe and you feel comfortable. Start to notice everything about this place that makes it feel safe and comfortable. Notice the colors. Smell the aromas. Feel the air as it crests against your skin. In your safe and comfortable place. See yourself in this scene. How young are you? How old are you? What are you wearing? What do you have on your feet? In your safe and comfortable place. Now, as you look at your space, notice, is there anything that needs to be added to make it feel more safe and more comfortable? Or perhaps something needs to be removed. Go ahead and make the changes. Follow those deep belly breaths and just breathe. Go deeper into your breathing and notice how your body feels. And just breathe. I'd like you to start to notice that everything in this safe and comfortable place feels loving, feels connected, feels safe. Maybe I'd like to imagine next that everything in this safe and comfortable place actually emanates the energy of love. It might sound weird, but don't worry about it. So feel yourself in this safe and comfortable place. Maybe if there's a couch there, or a tree, or a waterfall, maybe there's a pet. Now imagine yourself standing in front of one of the things in your space. And just breathe. Now imagine that this thing that you're standing in front of is literally emanating love. Imagine infinite love coming to you. Unconditional love being sent to you. Just breathe. Notice how your body feels. Notice how your mind feels. Notice how your heart feels. And just breathe. Slow breath in. Deep breath out. I feel some of you may want to stay here for a few extra minutes or longer. Feel free to. Others of you may feel like it might be time to come out. If you feel it's time to come out, rotate your shoulders, give yourself a little stretch. When you're ready, gently open your eyes, coming back. As you breathe and come back into your physical body, feel free to type in what you're noticing. Just type it in. Just type in what you're feeling, what the meditation was like. Maybe it's nothing, maybe it's something. It doesn't matter. Feel free to share whatever's coming up for you. As you're typing, I'm going to teach at the same time. The theory behind that meditation is that at each and every moment, there's actually an energy of love around you. And when you let that love in, that is life transformative. That is healing. You know that expression, love heals? Well, there's a reason that expression exists. But one of the reasons it's so hard to heal is because we don't get ourselves here. So a lot of the class is going to be about this, but also because if it was just that easy, no problem, I got it down, Div, I'm good. But a lot of the work, we're going to go into another exercise in just a few minutes on actually working with the mind, because that's where the deep stuff is. I'm going to read some of these answers because the people watching the recording won't see this. So some people wrote in they felt calmness. Other people wrote in they felt so much love. We wrote in I feel an essence of joy. Also wrote in I feel more grounded in my body. Absolutely beautiful. So again, remember how I said there's you and here's another part of you? All the work I'm going to teach you over these 16 weeks. How do you connect with that? That changes your life. And you think as Divi, I'm here all the time? God, no. No. I jump back and forth. And my role and when I take classes and I teach classes, how do I get here and how do I work with this thing they call the monkey mind? So let's go a little bit deeper. Okay, got some more exercises for you guys. Let's have some fun. Okay, so let's make this really simple. There's two parts of the nervous system. There's more than 2 parts, but I'm going to divide it up. Okay, I'm not even going to go into the guys are like, but you didn't go here. I'm like, I know I did. Okay, so we'll divide up the autonomic nervous system into your parasympathetic and sympathetic. Really simple. Most of you know this. The parasympathetic nervous system is the place that calms you down. That deep belly breathing can get in touch with. Your sympathetic nervous system is your fight, flight, freeze. And again, most of you know this. 95% plus of illnesses, so 95 plus percent, so 95%, 98%, 99% of illnesses, if not even more, are from sympathetic overdrive. Isn't that kind of crazy? So just think about it. When I was a doctor and figured that out, I sat there and go, Jesus, mother of whatever you want to call it. I would sit there with a prescription pad going, does that mean 9.5 out of 10 people who walk in my door were actually just in sympathetic overdrive? Like, I didn't learn any of this in medical school, none of it, just so you guys know. I learned this after. And I was like, oh my God, so why am I teaching people that? Like, it's so simple. I got so mad when I discovered this. Not mad, but just like infuriated. And it's not medicine's fault. Please, I could spend a whole few hours talking about that. I'm not going to. So sympathetic is fight, flight, freeze. Parasympathetic calms you down. Parasympathetic connects to the diaphragm, the vagus nerve, and it calms things down. Now, just really brief history. Back in the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and even the early 70s, it was thought that once you had an illness, because of sympathetic nervous system, there was nothing you could do. Okay, so if you're old like me and born somewhere in that time period, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, you're born on the planet with the belief that once you were in sympathetic overdrive, there was nothing you could do. That's what they used to think. And in the 1970s, Dr. Benson, Dr. Henry Benson came along and showed us, he studied the Beatles and marijuana. And he discovered that when people actually turned on their parasympathetic nervous system and went into deep breathing, they could turn off their sympathetic nervous system. Now you're probably thinking, yeah, Divvy, that makes sense. Prior to 1972, they didn't know that. Okay, so all of us have parents, a lot of us, that were born in that time, and you were raised by them in the healthcare model that they grew up in. Health is handed down parent to parent, got it? Or parent to child. So chances are you grew up with them not knowing that's what they thought. So the parasympathetic, the deep breathing, can offshoot that. Now, what does the sympathetic nervous system do? It does everything. When the sympathetic nervous system is flicked on, cortisol, adrenaline go into your body, and we'll talk about why in a second. Your blood pressure goes up, heart rate goes up, breathing rate goes up, muscles contract, can't have an orgasm to save your day. You can't think, you might get confused, you might get anxious. These are all effects of the sympathetic nervous system overdrive. And there's more. I just listed a bunch there. Decrease function to your kidneys, decrease circulation to your digestive system, your thyroid goes off, all of your hormones go off, the immune system drops, you name it, it happens. Okay. And so what ends up happening is, why does the sympathetic nervous system go off? It's because of the mind. When the human mind thinks thoughts of fear, any fear, conscious or unconscious, we stimulate the sympathetic nervous system, boom, the adrenaline goes up. And as soon as that happens, all of those things happen to our body. If you study medicine just a little bit more, I'm not going to bore you guys, you'll see that 95% of illnesses plus are created from that cascade of events I just described. It's like, okay, if that's all that's happening to me, teach me how to undo it. And that's what we're going to do over 16 weeks. Okay. Because this is how it works. You're like, yeah, Divvy, but I'm not scared. You might have conscious fears, but you have unconscious, subconscious fears that are being triggered. Okay. So let's go a little bit deeper. Okay. And again, if there's comments, questions, feel free to check them in. This is going to be fun. Okay. You might not like me. And I joke when I say that. So in the work I teach people, there's an emphasis on spirit. And you guys have already figured that out from my intro talk already. In my work and my deepest belief, and you don't have to believe this, though it helps. Here's our soul. It comes into the body, and then the body dies and our soul goes on. Okay. And then it keeps repeating the same pattern. Okay. That's what reincarnation is based on. Again, you don't have to believe it, but it helps to understand this concept. The theory is that the soul comes into the body to learn certain lessons that it didn't learn before. Okay. And those lessons that it chooses to learn is why it chooses your family of origin. Got it? So the soul comes in to your family of origin, usually into things you don't want to occur to you, to become who you're meant to be. Doesn't that sound so opposite? Well, it does, doesn't it? Because our soul is coming to learn these lessons over here. If it already knew them, Why would I have to go through life? But it comes here to have these experiences that aren't so fun. And then as you heal the experiences, then you've learned how to soul lesson. Let me give you a couple examples. Before I go deeper, give you the examples. So let me explain that totally differently. So in your childhood, 0 to 15, this is well studied in psychology, is when all your unconscious and subconscious imprinting is, okay? And how life works, and this is annoying to hear, but how life works is it's like a revolving staircase. So all of your imprints from your childhood keep repeating themselves in different life events. The partner you marry, the kids you have, the job you have, keeps repeating until you heal them. And as you heal them, then your soul expands. Now, the annoying thing is these imprints from childhood are not all pretty, okay? And for some people, those imprints will show up in relationship problems. Other people, those imprints will show up in your body. Other people, those imprints will show up in your bank account. Other people, those imprints will show up in your business not succeeding. I don't care what area you look at, they're all the same in my world. But it's all about healing those imprints. So whatever area we're talking about, your health, your bank account, whatever, can heal. So you remember I used that example of your shoulders, like, let's just say you feel like the world is all up to you. Maybe, I'm making this up, but it applies to somebody on the call. Maybe in your childhood of origin, you're born into a family, and let's just say you're the oldest, and immediately you have to take care of your 3 younger kids, but your mom couldn't also handle it. She was just, not functioning. You had 4 kids, you're the oldest. This isn't me, somebody else on the call. And then the next thing you know, you became a caregiver instantly. It was all up to you. And then you don't have the shoulder pain when you're a kid. You just don't. You're just like functioning, playing, raising your siblings, taking care of your mom, whatever you're doing. Then as you get older, see, we're talking about repeated patterns. So you come into your childhood, and then all of a sudden you have a label or an imprint called the responsible one. The one who's responsible to take care of everybody. Then what will always happen based on energy, when you understand energy and universal laws, the next thing that occurs is you're now in a job situation where you're now taking care of everybody. Or you're now a parent yourself and you have 6 kids you got to take care of. Or your younger kid becomes a parent and you're a young grandparent. I'm giving you different examples, okay? Or you've got a partner who can't step forward and you've got to take care of everything. Do you see how that same pattern repeats itself? And then as humans, we get into fight, flight. Oh God, I got to take care of everything. I'm giving you an example. And so what happens is if you're not dealing with that emotion of taking care of everything, it's going to end up in your body. Typically your shoulders, your mid back, your lower back, your headaches, whatever. How do you undo that? It's an imprint in your unconscious. It's all you know how to do. That's what the 16 weeks is about. In the course, I'm going to teach you how to heal that stuff because it's not one magic pill. It's a journey to look at these things and heal them. And the more you're willing to heal them, the easier it gets, because this is how it works. The universe, your soul, this energy called your guides, it wants you to heal it. It's why you came here. But if you don't heal it, it'll become a repeated pattern. That's how it works. It just keeps happening. And it's so annoying to hear that. When you understand that, you understand why the 50-year-old has blood pressure, becomes the 55-year-old with diabetes, becomes the 60-year-old with high cholesterol, and here's 3 medications. Because the same energy or emotion that caused the first illness now causes the second, and now causes a third. And that's how it works. Check if there's any questions before I keep going. If not, I'm going to keep going because I've got so much stuff to talk about. It's insane. My cards are thick. So it's not too much. Okay, we're going to do another exercise. How fun is this? Okay, check in. Are there any questions, comments? Type them in. I'll say 1 or 2 more things before I take you into an exercise. You guys are good. Okay, let's understand the brain chemistry just real quickly. Sorry, I'm trying to summarize a lot. In the next 2 Mondays, we'll go a little bit deeper. The brain, frontal lobe, midbrain, cerebellum area. Okay, midbrain right here is evolved from reptiles. Okay, and it evolved to actually time out on this. I'm going to read the comment and then I'm going to come back. Okay, so Janet writes in, I completely believe this. Unresolved trauma wounds caused me to have fear. Yay, amongst other emotions. And this is manifesting itself in my body by way of pain on my right side from shoulder to my foot. Perfect. Also explained waking. And yes, I have to be I have to be that's probably you as tuning into. I have to be the responsible one in my entire life, including my depression. So it makes sense, Janet. Totally makes sense. And you can undo that. And it makes sense at the right side because the right side of our body metaphysically is the masculine. And I just keep hearing for you, Janet. And this is how I combine intuition to healing. So what a lot of people can't do is they can't hear their subconscious and hear the unconscious. So my guides and your guides work together and they talk to me. So Janet, what I keep hearing is two things for yourself, Janet, and we can talk more about this in the live Q&A if you want. But hopefully this helps. First thing I keep hearing for yourself, Janet, and it's not just you because universal law of oneness applies to all of us, including me, hon. You take things way too seriously, and so do I, sister. Okay. So this seriousness, and then you may not like this picture, but they're showing me a picture of not that you're like a militant person, but you take things that seriously. And that's why the right side of your body is hurting because there's a seriousness to you, which is fine. But they're still going, Janet. But there's also a very soft side of you, a very fluffy side of you, a very light side of you. And this side of your body can heal. And the weight, and I'm sure you've heard this, is your protection and a fear of tapping into who you truly are. That's the loudest one I'm hearing. Is a fear of tapping into you are such, the word I just heard was saint, like S-A-I-N-T. You are such a soft, not just saint, but soft, sweet energies, Janet. And the weight is protecting you from that. They just said to me because she's afraid to let it go because she doesn't know how to. And that's what we'll teach you, okay? It's not that it's hard and it's not that it's easy. They're saying that she needs permission to let it go. And that's a lot of the work I do is energetically holding your hand and giving you permission because Janet, you and I are one. I mean, I wasn't the responsible, I was the youngest of 4, but I have other crazy crap. And when we get that, there's somebody here to support us, but it's not just me, it's also your guides, your non-physical. And they're saying one last thing, Janet, laugh too. Please laugh, honey, because you are so funny. The more you can laugh at yourself, the easier it gets. That helps. Okay, and we'll do more of that in the Q&A. Okay, oh, Trina's comment. Okay, we're going to jump to comments and questions, and we'll kind of dive and intermix. Gina wrote, I have chronic migraines. It has decreased a lot since I started living in nature. Awesome. And committing to myself to deep work, but it still occurs and I have to manage it. Okay, one sec, Trina. Same thing, 2 or 3 layers to this, Trina. Oh, you're welcome, Jenna. 2 or 3 layers, Trina. One is yes, you know, the environment and stuff like that. And it's great that you're committing to the deeper work. I'm just seeing how to say this without, I don't think I'll offend you. I love you. You think too much and don't use them enough. Them meaning, and you know this, honey, about yourself. So we have our third eye here. Okay, we have the 7th chakra here. Okay, and sometimes they're too open, and they just said she's afraid. You're afraid to open completely, and the fear of opening completely blocks them and creates migraines. That's what they're telling me right now, Trina. Look at our intuition course, hon, because you have to open those, sweetie. You have to. I've had so many people study intuition and then they go, let's go. But whether you get it, it's not even necessarily yours. I'm like 20 degrees hotter. Trina, for you, it's not a conscious thing that you're afraid to release the fear of seeing and knowing, but you block it because you think too much. That's what I'm getting for you. Let me know how that lands, Trina, and we'll go into Q&A when we get there. Breathe, guys, that's the type of work I do. Okay, love it or not, that's what I do. Oh, perfect, it landed. Awesome, Trina, thank you. And that's why you're going to get me for 16 weeks live doing this with each of you. You're going to love me or not. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper. Okay, so go back to the brain stuff. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. You knew that on some level. That's awesome, Trina. Okay, here's your brain. Midbrain is your reptilian brain where all your fight and flight and freeze are. Okay, from childhood. Remember we talked about this? Just so you know, we might go about 10 or 15 minutes over in case you have to arrange childcare or need to stop and listen to the recording. Midbrain right here. There's a tiny organ the size of the almond called your amygdala. It holds on to the old memories, your fight, flight, freeze. And it's time to heal those. And I can tell you, as a woman who's been working with her amygdala, I call her Amy. She's healable. Okay. Now and how you know what emotions there are is based on what you're feeling. Now let's go a little bit deeper. And again, we're going to go about 10, 15 minutes over, just so you know. Okay. That's how it works. My ring finger, this is my mind. My non-ring finger over here is my spirit, the one in the sun. Okay. Mind, spirit. The mind thinks 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your spirit thinks 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Every thought your spirit has actually feels really good, feels like relief. So when Janet said that landed and thank you, it's whatever spirit said to her landed. When Trina said she knew it on some level, whatever spirit said landed. So let me show you how it works. Mind and spirit. Your mind, 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of thoughts. Thing about spirit is it does not yell, it does not scream, but it can only be heard when the mind gets quieter, which is why meditation is such a huge part of it, huge part of it. But the mind has to take the back seat, which is why meditation is such a huge part of what I teach. But 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day, and here's spirit, okay, running for you too, but spirit will never yell, okay? Spirit never yelled and say to me, left my first husband, never did, but this is how it worked. Okay. When your mind and spirit are thinking the same thought about anything, and I'll give you an example in a sec. My mind, let's just say I'm in a really great mood and I'm loving my son to death. My mind is like the greatest kid in the world. Spirit often always thinks that too. The emotion down here is the result. So when your mind and spirit are thinking the same thing, the emotion is love and joy and empowerment and well-being and joy, all those good emotions. The only one that can move is your mind. Your spirit will never move. So I'll put spirit here, okay? So spirit always stays feeling that my son is amazing. But as soon as my mind moves a little bit and now thinks thought like, damn it, why doesn't he clear the room? My first emotion might be my frustration. See how there's a gap? Okay. Now, if my mind moves a little bit more and goes, damn it, he's always late. The next emotion is anger. See how it's further apart? Now, if my mind goes over here and goes all the way over, and my mind thinks, and I never think this about my son, but let's just say my mind goes, I don't think he's capable. Then the emotion is fear. See how it works? So the emotion is just telling you your overlap or not overlap with your spirit. That's what emotions are. They're telling you, are you thinking an alignment with your divine? And if it's not, and these emotions are happening, those emotions will land in your body, which was what Janet said about trauma. The emotions go somewhere because your soul contract here on the planet is to heal that because your soul wants to grow. It's actually super simple, very simple. It's annoying. I say to people, for example, if I did not do this work, I could easily go work as a family doctor, easily. I still have my license, multiple clinics calling me, but I will tell you that I will get sick, okay? Because it is not what my soul is here to do, okay? But my mind goes, oh, but that's faster money. Oh, do you see how my mind could do that? And oh, you can't do what you're doing now. You're terrible at it. And my mind goes into fear and powerlessness. Then that emotion lands in my body. See how it works? So in order to heal this, your spirit will never change its opinion. Spirit always thinks, and maybe close your eyes for this one. Close your eyes, everybody, unless you're driving. Spirit thinks that you're important. In fact, spirit believes you're the most important person in the world. So don't open your eyes yet. Take that thought into your body. Spirit thinks you're the most important person in the world. Just breathe into that, breathe into that. And notice if your mind wants to spit it out. Take this next statement. Spirit knows that you're of value. Take that into your body. Breathe. Spirit knows that you are the divine incarnation of spirit. Spirit knows that you're here for a purpose. Spirit knows that you're a love. Spirit knows that you matter. Spirit knows that each person can take care of themselves and you are the most important incarnation called Janet, called Trina, called Francis, called Emily. Take that in. Take that in, take that in, take that in and breathe. Good. And from that place, type in what you're feeling. Just type in, what are you feeling? What are you noticing when you actually take in the thought that you're important? What are you feeling when you take in the thought that you matter? What are you feeling when you take in the thought that life is beautiful and you count and you matter? And you're exactly where you're meant to be. Spirit knows you're exactly where you're meant to be. You're exactly where you're meant to be. If you actually start to believe this more and more, the weight can't hold on and the pain can't hold on. And yes, things in your life might change. I'm not going to lie to you. But being sick, like we talked about at the very beginning of the class, ain't fun. I'm going to say one or two things here before I respond to the comments that came in. I always say this, and especially for those of you with chronic illnesses know this. Always saying being sick is really hard. You got to go to the doctor all the time. You got to go to the specialist all the time. You got to, do this and that all the time, right? Oh God, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work being sick. Got to take the pills, got to do the blood test, got to This work is a lot of work. But the benefit of it is you live free in your health, live free in your mind, live free in your relationships. But it is work. I ain't going to lie to you. They're both work. So let me read the comments that came in as I asked you to feel those feelings in spirit. I hear that you feel sacred. You feel supported by spirit and always, always. I love that. Always, always. I love that. I feel like I'm crying. Nice. I feel surety. I just kind of chuckle like it's an inside joke. That's so very true though. Yes, it is. It's so true. There could be nothing more true, but it is an inside joke. And the thing is, when you start to live your life this way, everything starts to change. And it's hard because sometimes your relationships have to change. That's okay. Sometimes you might drink less. That's okay. You might do different types of vacation. That's okay. We only have those two choices. Okay. I had one or two more exercises planned, but we're going to save those. We're going to do they're saying slow down, go into Q&A, leave that for next time. So I have an exercise called mind versus spirit, but we're going to do that next time. Okay. And I'm going to somebody asked when we first started, before I move into the questions and answers and change the recording video on this one. Next Monday, we're together at 4:00 my time zone, 7:00 Eastern time zone. And it's the same Zoom link. So if you didn't register for the other ones, don't worry, just keep the Zoom link. I will send everybody the recording and I'll send you the Zoom link again. I do not want to over inundate your email account, like an address, like, it's 4:00, come. So I'll just make sure you keep getting the recordings, okay? So if you can't make the next one, but it's the same exact Zoom link that you had today, but I'm not going to email everybody reminding them because I just find my inbox gets full too. So before I open up to Q&A, go ahead and close your eyes. Take about 10 or 20 breaths and there you go. Good. Settle in and breathe. Beautiful. Okay, let's open it up for a few questions and answers. And we might or may not end on time. It doesn't really matter to me. Exhale to your feet. Okay, good. Rotate your shoulders. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Okay. And in a second, I'm going to change the recording. So don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to stop the recording and then reset up the screen.